What's up, guys? We are live for AMA Thursday, one of my favorite days of the week, and I'm glad you guys are joining me for it. For the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to answer any questions you guys have for me, whether it's about Amazon FBA or entrepreneurship or anything else I can do to help. Drop them in the chat box. I'm going to read them off and answer as many as I can for the next 30 minutes. While we wait for a few of the questions to come in, I just want to let you guys know I'm launching a new podcast next year in January, only a few weeks away, called Go Pitch Win. And what happens is like a Shark Tank style podcast where I'm going to be giving one winner of each season a $10,000 prize for them to start their business with. It's not a loan. You don't have to give up any of your company, anything else. It's just free money, $10,000. If that sounds interesting to you and something that you would like to be involved with, you can enter for the podcast at gregmercer.com/podcast. Like I said, it's going to be a Shark Tank style podcast. You'll pitch your idea for a chance to win the $10,000 prize at the end of each season. So gregmercer.com/podcast. You can find all the details and you guys can enter there. All right, looks like the questions are coming in. How can I buy insurance for my products if I'm in Canada and wanting to sell in the US? If you would buy insurance the place that your company is registered or incorporated. So if you incorporated in Canada, then you would get it in Canada. If you incorporate in the US, then you get the US insurance. What address do you use for the send from on Seller Central? It actually doesn't matter if you're not using Amazon's shipping services. So if you're buying like the UPS labels through Seller Central or you're paying for their trucking through Seller Central, then you do have to put the correct send from address because that's where they're picking it up from. If you're paying for shipping yourself, if you're using your own shipping services, then you can actually just put anything you want in that line. It doesn't matter. Greg, are all your products on Amazon successful? So I have over 100 products on Amazon. I've never been stuck with inventory that like I couldn't sell. So that would be like the biggest failure, right? If you purchase all this inventory, it just sat in Amazon's warehouse and couldn't sell. That's never happened to me in the life of all my products. There have been products that I've chosen not to reorder typically because the margins aren't good enough or because it's not getting very good reviews. So occasionally like I'll order a product, I'll launch it, and then it starts getting a bunch like 3-star reviews, 4-star reviews, and my average is like 3.5 stars. At that point, I usually just say, all right, I'm gonna kill this, like make some improvements to this product probably, and then maybe like launch it again under a new listing. So that's one scenario that I consider kind of be like a little bit of failures. The other scenario is just the margins aren't good enough. So I sell through that first batch, but the margins are only like 3% or 5% or something really low. And at that point, that's when I wouldn't reorder that product ever. So I've never been like stuck with inventory, but I would still consider those like failures if I determined not to end up reordering. And I'd say probably 10%, maybe even 20%, or probably not 20, 10, 15% of products I end up not reordering because they don't end up to be worth me reinvesting my cash in. All right. Greg, should I take a loan for working capital or build more slowly? This is a question, or in order to answer this, I have to kind of better understand your risk tolerance for business, okay? And I guess also like how well your products are doing so far. The nice thing about Amazon, this is a very repeatable and scalable type business model. So once you've figured out how to create these successful products, if you launched a few successful products, then you can do it over and over and over until you scale it to this multi-million-dollar business. So if you're at that point, if you have launched a few successful products, you understand how the system works, you feel comfortable with it, and at this point, the only thing stopping you from scaling up is not enough capital, then I think taking out a loan to purchase inventory is a good deal, personally. But that depends on everyone's kind of like risk tolerance. But if you're getting 100% return on investment in the cash that you invest to launch these new products, and you're taking out loans for, let's just say 10% annual like APR for the year, then if you're repaying that within 3-4 months, that money costs you 2-3% for 100% ROI. That's a pretty good trade if you as long as your products are successful. So that's why I said mostly, like, I guess it kind of depends on where you're at kind of in your journey. All right. All right, one on YouTube says, I just launched my product 10 days ago, and the only sales I'm getting are promotional sales with a few organic. Okay, well, it's only 10 days old, so don't worry yet. I gave away 60 units and received 2 reviews. What can I do to increase the number of reviews I get? So, you know, if you launch your product 10 days ago, you said you've sold 60, but I'm sure not all 60 were on the first day. So some of these people you have to remember are like just receiving your product or just received it a day or two ago. So, the review rate, like a review rate that I would consider like average, if you have an email responder turned on, is probably about like 5%. A little bit more for like higher priced products or products that like people care about, and probably less for like commodity type items. So, you know, 2 reviews out of 60 units isn't that bad. If you consider every 100 units, you get about 5 reviews. But it also hasn't been very long, so you might still get more reviews from those first 60 units. I just don't think you've given it quite enough time yet. So, but I would make sure you have an email autoresponder turned on, similar to JumpSend, or use JumpSend to help you maximize the number of reviews that you're getting. Dana said, hello, Greg. Should I let my supplier ship products to Amazon warehouse? He offered me 30% better pricing than other freight forwarders. Will it work in the long term? That's fine. I typically don't use the factories, but it typically also, I've never quite seen it like 30% better pricing. If they did have 30% better pricing, I might consider it a little bit more. The one thing you do have to be careful of is make sure that that price that they give you is all inclusive of all the fees that, you know, customs has and everything else. Just make sure you're comparing apples to apples. But other than that, I don't see anything wrong with it. All right, when will Jungle Scout be available for the Japanese market? Good question. I'd say Q1 of next year, 2018, would be our target to make it available for the Japanese market. When do you decide your product was a failure and stop investing time in it and move on to the next? It's a good question. This probably depends like kind of on a case-by-case basis. I mean, the great thing about FBA is like it doesn't necessarily take your time on a day-to-day basis, right? You can just let it ride out and see how it does. So, yeah, I mean, I normally continue to try to improve my listings and my products as long as I have them. Yeah. One said, hey, Greg, can you upload any template of a contract that you send to manufacturers, or at least give us some tips about that? Thanks for everything. Your videos are outstanding. I mean, contracts about legal issues and responsibilities. Thanks for the love, Juan. In the collaborative product launch, so if you go to junglescout.com, find the free resources, go to the collaborative product launch, and go to the episode. I don't remember what episode it is, but that talks about how to find a factory. And in that factory, I have a template for you guys to use, and you can copy and paste that. All right. Would you run PPC and giveaways on one of your variations to rocket the ranking, or just one, or you will split the giveaways and PPC between your variations? I typically split the giveaways across all the variations. So something you have to keep in mind, so like my hooded baby towel, right? There's 4 variations now: white, pink, gray, and blue. And Amazon normally will, like if you just search baby towel and you see one image there, Amazon typically picks the image of the best-selling variation, okay? So if, or what they think's most relevant. So if it's just like baby towel, then they would just show the bestseller one. If you did like pink baby towel, then they'll probably show the pink one. But the reason I tell you that is something you have to keep in mind is if you do all your giveaways for, say, like your worst variation or your least popular one, it kind of skews it a little bit, because then Amazon's going to be showing that image for what's kind of like the worst one. So it's just something to keep in mind. So I would just kind of spread it across. When it comes to product photography, do you wait for your private label product to be produced and then order a sample and then take a photo of it for your listing, or how do you do it? Yes, I typically wait till the first units are off of my particular production run, and I ask them to send me just 1 or 2 units by like DHL or TNT or UPS, and then I use that one to take the photos. Hey Greg, I'm unable to find a product using session 1 and session 2 strategies. Are there any others you use? If you go to our YouTube channel and just look at all of our videos, I think there might even be a category for product research. I've created probably like a dozen or more videos on exactly how I do my product research. So maybe if you watch a few of those, I give like some other tips and tricks and kind of tactics you can use to find these other products. You're shipping a full container from China to the US. How do you split it to various Amazon warehouses according to Amazon's shipping plan? What happens is my freight forwarder does this for me. So I ship a whole container. It arrives on the port like in LA. Then my freight forwarder picks up the container. They take it to the warehouse. They unload the container. They put it onto pallets. And then I tell them where to ship which pallets. So to answer your question, the freight forwarder does that. Samus said, hey Greg, I'm a big fan of the $1 Million Case Study. Can you please tell me if we're going to need an initial sale to start ad campaigns? You can start ad campaigns before you've had your first sale, so you don't have to wait for that. What are your views on creating a Shopify store, and will you make a video on this? So, probably a better way to answer this is like, what are my views on general e-commerce stores? Because Shopify is, while it's a good one, it's just another platform for you to create your own e-commerce stores, right? There's also BigCommerce and whatever else, and Magento and WooCommerce and all this stuff. And these are all just platforms to help you create your own e-commerce store, okay? There's good and there's bad things about your own e-commerce store. The good thing is you own the platform, you own the customers, you can email them whenever you want. You don't have to worry about playing in Amazon's field. The big downside is, if you build it, they will come is not true. If you build a e-commerce store, you have to drive traffic there, which is difficult. Or to drive traffic in a cost-effective way is difficult to do. It also requires more work, more technical expertise. So my personal belief is independent e-commerce stores are a dying breed, just like mom and pop shops. I think about the same way as, like all across America and the world or whatever, there used to be like small mom and pop shops that were selling sports goods or this or whatever else. And essentially Amazon and other big box stores, like Walmart and other big box stores came along and kind of crushed these. And I think I'm confident we're seeing the same thing in e-commerce, that more and more people are just going to the big box store, Amazon, purchasing their goods there, and less so than these little mom and pop e-commerce stores. So I would rather just go straight to Amazon and not waste my time with the Shopify stuff. But I can see arguments both ways. That's just my opinion. Hey Greg, is your history as a founder going to be included in the next founder book? I don't know. I hope so. I was interviewed on the podcast and they put me in the monthly magazine or whatever it was, but I don't know if I'll be in the next book or not. V2? How do you end a relationship with a supplier when you will not be reordering an item? You don't really necessarily have to formally end it. You can just say, I'm not reordering right now. If you don't reach out to them and ask for a reorder a certain amount of time later, they're probably going to reach out to you and say, hey, you ready for reorder? And you can just say, no, it's not a big deal. Hey Greg, thanks for all your help. If you have a product that is packaged in a box, but inside the box it is a plastic poly bag, does the product need the suffocation warning? Good question. I don't know. I'm not sure. You'll have to maybe Google it. I guess when in doubt, you could put it on there. If we think, what's the purpose of a suffocation warning? It's so that essentially, well, from a business standpoint, I think of it as like, so that you're not liable if a little baby puts it over his head and suffocates. Hopefully parents know that, but that's the reason behind it, obviously. I I don't think Amazon would ever know if the suffocation warning wasn't on the interior bag, but I guess to be safe from a liability standpoint, you may still want to do it. That's the best answer I've got. Peggy says, hey Greg, I'm a huge fan. Thank you, Peggy. We're a huge fan of you. Maybe a brain burp. What is the LQS in the Jungle Scout web app? The LQS is the listing quality score. LQS listing quality score. We've graded all of the listings on Amazon that are in our web app. And in the web app, the score is 1 through 100. A 100's a very high quality listing that probably converts very well and is difficult to compete with. A 1 would be a terrible listing on Amazon. I don't even think I've seen a 1, but there's like 5s and 10s and 15s, very low numbers. So these numbers, 10, 15, 20, 25, these are very crappy listings that would be easy to compete with. They have like 1 or no pictures. They have like a 4-word title, like 3 crappy bullet points. So that's a good thing. If there's a listing with a very low LQS, like 10, 20, even 30, yet it's selling very well, that means this is potentially a good opportunity for you to go in there, sell a very similar item with a high quality listing and steal a lot of the sales from that seller. Cody said, hey Greg, is it too late to get a first product in before the Chinese New Year in February? It's getting too late. You probably have another week or so. If you don't place a deposit in the next week, maybe 2 weeks, then they probably won't be able to ship it before Chinese New Year. So anyone not familiar with Chinese New Year, the factories in China pretty much shut down for the entire month of February. So you need to get your orders in before then if you want it to ship. All right, you have to get your orders in the next like week, 2 weeks. It kind of depends on the factory, but you can ask in order for it to ship before the Chinese New Year. I know I just put down a whole bunch of deposits in the past week, and those are all going to be shipped before Chinese New Year. Let's see. Please tell us about what you think about the India marketplace. It is growing. It is in the growing stage right now. I'm optimistic about the future of the Indian marketplace. One day I'll probably try to sell there. I don't have personal experience selling there yet, but when I look at the numbers, it's one of the more exciting Amazon marketplaces. Gobi23 says, thanks for all you do. Thank you. I followed the $1 Million Case Study and finally launched my first product a week ago. Congrats, that's amazing. I gave away some using JumpSend and I'm now getting organic sales. Any advice to address the user opt-out? First of all, congratulations. You launched your product. You're already getting organic sales and it's only been a week, so that's amazing. I would not worry about the whole opt-out email thing. There's essentially nothing you can do about it. This is actually a federal law, maybe even an international law from a group. I forget exactly, but essentially consumers have to have the ability to opt out of marketing type messages. I guess Amazon just thought they were too cool for school. And even though that law was passed in like 2004 or something, they just put the opt-out feature there like 6 months or a year ago. But I wouldn't worry about it. There's nothing you can do. It's not that big of a deal. Just, keep on selling as normal. I was doing giveaways and someone bought my product at the giveaway price, then relisted it under my product as a second offer for $2 less than what I have it listed for. Can they do that? Dean, I know this is very frustrating. They're not technically breaking any of Amazon's rules though. This is frustrating and it sucks and no seller likes this, but unfortunately there are some of the people out there that just do this and there's very little we can do as sellers to protect against this. So, but at the end of the day, they're gonna take one sale from you. It's not that big of a deal. Don't let this don't get upset about it. Just understand it's like, all right, well, you kind of lost one sale from it. But at the end of the day, you're trying to build this listing for like long term anyway. It's like one sale and the whole scheme of things isn't a big deal. Other than Chinese New Year, are there other holidays in China where the factories will be closed? Yes, there's lots of holidays in China. China Chinese New Year is the only one that it's closed for a very long period of time, like a whole month. But there are other ones that they're closed for like a week. I'm sure you can probably Google Chinese holidays and look at them there. So the Chinese New Year is the big one because they're closed for a whole month. The other ones, you know, just for a few days or a week. And I guess one other thing to note is the factories are always shut down for like the whole month of February. But typically the sales agents, they only take like a week, 2 weeks off. They're normally available about throughout the whole time of February. So that's good. But yeah, the factories do shut down. I guess I didn't realize this until I went and visited China, but a lot of the people who work in the factories live like far away. So they essentially they live near these factories for like 11 months out of the year. And then 1 month of the year, February, they go back and spend that month with their families. Billy said, how many new different products do you think is a fair amount to aim to launch within a 12-month period? If you're working by yourself, I think you could probably launch 1 product per month. Hard to know without knowing how many hours per week and day and everything, what else you have going on though. I think that's probably a good goal. All right. We have time for about 2 or 3 more questions. Hey Greg, is JumpSend in Canada? Love everything Jungle Scout. JumpSend right now sends emails for all of North America and Europe. However, it doesn't have the deal site, the promotions for Canada yet. It just has the US and the UK. We're slowly going to be adding more marketplaces though. Probably next is Germany. After that, we might see Canada, Mexico, and the smaller European stores. Hey Greg, Amazon FBA versus ship by yourself, which one is better? FBA for sure, unless you want to hang out in your garage all day packing boxes. That doesn't sound like fun. What's the update for your sleeping bag? The sleeping bag should arrive in Amazon's warehouse in about a week. So we kind of did miss the holiday sales, which is unfortunate, but that's just the way things go with any business. Oftentimes there's delays or whatever else. So it'll be launched like next week. The listing's all ready. We have the pictures. The pictures look really good. So yeah. Do you build brands or do you seek random opportunities in your Amazon business? I go for random opportunities. I go for whatever the data is telling me sells well. It doesn't have to fit into a cohesive brand. Tara said, hey Greg, thanks for the videos, you rock. How would I include a postcard with a brand story thank you note in the packaging if I'm using FBA and the goods go directly from the supplier to the Amazon warehouse? You would need to give this postcard, you know, you would ask your factory to be the one to print this postcard, and then they would put it into the packaging for you. Last question from Salima. In your opinion, how many products do you need that is selling over $20 to take home $1 million plus? As you can imagine, this is a really hard question to answer. Depends how many, you know, it depends how well each of these products are selling. I don't know. It's too hard. I would encourage you to just get started, start selling. You can see how well your own products do, and then you can kind of figure that out. So guys, that is it for today's AMA. I will see you again next week. If you missed the beginning of the episode, I am starting a very cool podcast called Go Pitch Win. This is a Shark Tank style podcast where you come on, you tell about your business venture, what you want to begin or what you've already began with your business. The winner of each season wins $10,000 prize. This is a gift. You don't have to give up any of your business. It's not a loan. It's just $10,000 to help you jumpstart your business. If this sounds interesting to you, you can find all the details at gregmercer.com/podcast. We're looking for entries now. We'll then choose some of these and we'll be filming after the start of the new year. So I hope you guys go on there and apply. I've really enjoyed the past 30 minutes with you guys. I hope you have a good rest of the day and good week. Bye.